It would help if I turned and took the sorry, my brain is having an issue today. It would help if I took the lens cap off, right? Hello, my lovelies. How's everybody doing tonight? I hope you're all well. Welcome back to another Witchy Wednesday. Do me a favor, let me know that you're here by saying hello in chat so that way we can talk back and forth. Witchy Wednesdays, if this is your first time here, Witchy Wednesdays is just for learning different things about witchcraft according to different resources. I will go over the things that I do within my path. We have been revisiting, though, a certain subject like over and over and over again. And for the last, I would say for the last year and a half, it has been a constant reoccurrence in my life. Something is constantly coming up, and that's shadow work. So when things are coming up constantly, I try to listen to it. And so I have been learning a lot about shadow work and what was shadow work and doing my own. And it seems like the people that have been regulars to this channel and are regularly here for the lives, they have asked about shadow work. How do we begin shadow work? What is shadow work? Where do we just, how is it done? Because it just seems like this really weird thing. And I know we've talked about it in generalities for a couple of times now, but we've never gone through step by step. How do I do this? Now, before we start, before I say anything else, I want you to understand I am not a trained therapist. Not a trained therapist. I am not trained in this. This is simply my technique for doing shadow work. All right. If anything that you start doing triggers you emotionally and you have a strong emotional response to something, I am going to encourage you to talk to somebody that you trust, either a therapist, a counselor, another spiritual leader, something. But you would need to talk to somebody, okay? Shadow work is hard. Shadow work is hard. Hey, Lydia, how are you? Shadow work isn't something that we can go into lightly. It's not something that you can do overnight. It's a long process. And for some of us, it's a lifelong process. We're constantly learning things. So, what is shadow work and what am I talking about? Well, shadow work is you. It was Carl Jung who, and I butcher his name all the time, and I shouldn't because I've heard it multiple times, but he talked about having a shadow self. All right. Um, Shadow self is this part of you that you hide away. You put it in the shadows because either you needed to as a defense mechanism for some type of situation, or that this part of you isn't good, according to everybody around you, that this part right here needs to be hidden. And that's not the case. We need all of the parts of ourselves, and we need to understand why parts went into the shadow in the first place. Why did we send that part of us away so that way it only comes out once in a while? Why do we deem this ugly but this pretty? Why do we deem that good and this bad, right? That's shadow work. We're just trying to find what makes us tick. Why did I put that in the shadow? All right. It's a hard process, especially when there is very limited information on how to go about doing it. Okay. I am doing okay, Lydia, Zarabeth. Good morning, good evening. I'm having a bit of like word stuff. My brain isn't giving me the vocabulary words that I need. So if I mess up or if I misspeak, especially if I'm slurring right now, it's just because I have a pretty high pressure. And so my words are getting kind of mixed up. It happens. But it's fine. We'll get through this nonetheless. So I decided, what are we going to do for our shadow work? How are we going to start this process? Because I've been legitimately all over the place. I have done what I think is the best way possible for myself. Oh, Zarabeth, you call it word salad. Okay, yeah. So I'm having a little bit of word salad here. So I was looking at how do I present this in a way that everybody can follow along and we can keep track, and it's reproducible. Like the things that I've done by myself, I don't know if anybody can reproduce what I did. You know, a lot of times I'm thinking when it's quiet or I'm taking a shower and I do this process in my head of constantly asking my questions, asking, why do I think that? What gives me the right to think that? What situation made me think that? That's all shadow work. So it's very convoluted and very all over the place. And I didn't want to do that with you guys. I wanted to be able to give you guys something that was step by step and you could follow along and you could go back to it. So in the description of this video right now, there is a link to my link tree. If you go right now and you click on that link tree, it will bring you obviously to my link tree. And the very top link is a PDF on shadow work. We are going to use that tonight. All right. We are going to use that tonight. This is what that PDF looks like. All right. We are going to go over step by step. So while I am explaining the card that will lead us through tonight, if you want to go ahead and print this out or maybe have it up on the screen so that way you can see it, whatever you feel like you want to do. If you don't want it up on the screen, you don't want to print it right now, no big deal. No big deal. You can go back to it. Okay. So we are going to start with the Magician because that is the first in the major arcana, is the Magician. So what did I do first was I got my books out because y'all know I love me some books. So I got some books out and I especially pulled this book. This book is for our Darkwood Tarot. And you know, I love how Sasha Graham, put together the guide. I think this is a thorough guide. It's a beautiful guide. But what she also did with this guide was she inserted shadow questions. She inserted, like, I pulled this card and I'm doing shadow work. This is the prompt that I would use for that shadow work. And I thought that was a great place to start, but I wanted to take it a step further. I really want us to understand shadow work, but take this opportunity to understand tarot even more. So each Wednesday until we get through the deck, which is going to be a while, each Wednesday, we are going to pull a card from tarot and we are going to do the shadow work based on that. I will have some type of follow along guide for you on that. All right. We will talk about the card. What is the card meaning? What do we know about ourselves with that card? You'll see what I'm talking about. Okay. So first off, we are pulling the Magician. All right. Now, in this book, in the Darkwood book by Sasha Graham, she talks about, and there was one specific one, the Shadow Witch wonders if she is looking at a vision of her future self. And I loved that quote, and I wanted to insert that quote. The Shadow Witch wonders if she's looking at her future self, because this is the beginning of our shadow work. And at the end of our shadow work, we are going to be someone different. We're going to understand ourselves differently. That person will be different than the person we are today. That's important to understand about shadow work. It's also important to understand this is not going to be pleasant. There are going to be some questions that you're not going to want to answer. No. And I know this because there are questions that I don't want to answer, right? You need to ask yourself, why don't you want to answer that question? When we get to questions like that, ask yourself, why do I not want to answer that question? Okay? We're going to be very different. Hey, Ember! All right. So what do we know about the Magician? The Magician stands in a table of enchantment, right? And according to the meaning of this card, It is charisma, dynamic personality, working wonders, ability to take action. This is the magician. They're confident in who they are. Okay? That's what the meaning of the magician is. When you pull it, that is confidence in I am enough. And that's a great place to start. Because a lot of times the reason why we do shadow work is because we don't feel enough. So let's start with the magician. The magician feels like they are enough. And I want to feel like I'm enough. So why do they feel that way? Why do they feel that way? Okay. Let's also pull out the other book, the one that is by Stephen Bright, that I got at Books A Million. When they talk about the magician, they have some really interesting things. In the magician, we find confidence and certainty. Unlike the free spirit of the fool, we find a character who is considered and logical in his approach to any given situation, his power, and his ability to affect life rather than allowing it to affect him. There you go. So our shadow work when it comes to the magician is all about not allowing life to affect us negatively, not allowing us to affect ourselves negatively, right? Okay. Now that we understand what the magician's all about, let's look at this, right? There's a couple of things that I'm going to ask you to do right now. If you haven't downloaded this, you don't have a printer, don't worry about it. It's okay. Just so you can think about it, okay? So, on the sheet, I tell you, the magician knows their worth. They will not subtract further from their power with negative self-thoughts or from someone else's negative energy. All right? We understand that. Magician knows their worth. Okay. Here's a question I want you to ask, and this is the first step into your shadow work. If you were the magician, what qualities would you possess? If you were the magician and you now understand that the magician is perfect in its confidence, right? What does that look like to you? What does being confident and whole look like to you? If you were the magician, how would you look? I'm going to give you just a few. I'm going to light my candles while you think about that question, okay? Because that's a deep question. What do I think as far as answering that question for myself? What do I think the magician looks like? That's a hard one to answer because there's a lot of things that I value and a lot of things I don't value. The first word that comes to my mind is charisma. Yes, Zarabeth. I'm thinking the same thing. Like, they can talk to anybody, right? The magician can talk to anybody. The magician has the confidence to go and ask questions. That's another thing. There's confidence to be wrong, but there's also a confidence knowing that they're right. Like, that's what I see the magician. But I like to think if I was the magician, I would be confident and compassionate. Okay. So that's your magician. Your magician is confident and compassionate, knows when to give mercy, right? So now you guys kind of in your head know what the perfect magician looks like to you. Ask this. How do others see you as the magician? Do you think others see you as the magician itself? Like you exude confidence. Do you think others see you that way? What do they see when they look at you? What I think people see, for me, is I think people see my false confidence. The confidence of fake it until you make it, right? That's what I think they see. I think that I do talk to people well. And so I think people see a charismatic person. I think people see a compassionate person, right? I don't feel those things. I don't feel confident. I do feel compassionate and caring. Um, I think some people look at me and they see wisdom. I do not see wisdom. I see I'm learning, right? So there is a difference between what I see myself as the magician and what other people see me as. Part of my shadow work is I need to mesh these. I need to not care about what people think of me. That's not what I'm saying with this. But my inner self needs to match my outer self. It doesn't need to be a falsehood. It needs to be reality, right? I need that magician confidence. So what other people see you as and what you see as yourself, this is where the work begins. This uneven matching, that's where our work begins, right? What do you think you lack, therefore preventing you from reaching your magician self? What do you lack that prevents you from reaching your magician self? I lack confidence. Point blank. I lack confidence. I have a very, very overwhelmingly confident look, but I'm not confident. Oof. Yeah, Zarabeth, that one's a hard one. I feel very insecure. Yes. Yes. So you're constantly being complimented, but those compliments you don't put in, right? You don't take that confident little tab and stick it in a bank somewhere for yourself. You let that fly away. Yeah. Self-loathing and lack of confidence. You know what? Like this is exactly where I am. There are things I hate about myself. I hate about myself. You know? Even though I know that I'm a good person. I do. I make some poor decisions from time to time, but my poor decisions don't make me a bad human being. I love with a heart that's bigger than anything, and that leads to some of my poor decisions. Right? So I am working on that as well. Where is my confidence and self-loathing coming from? I want to stop real quick since we're going to get really heavy, and I want you to be ready for this. All right, we're going to get really heavy here. There are going to be questions that you have to ask yourself, like I said, that you're not going to want to answer. There are going to be questions that when I ask them on this paper, you're going to be, that doesn't apply to me. I don't do those things. Are you sure? Are you sure you don't do those things? These are uncomfortable things to talk about. All right. At any moment during this, if anything that's said triggers you or makes you feel uncomfortable, by all means, stop watching. Okay? Stop watching. Go take some meditational time for yourself. All right? Light a few candles. Do what you got to do to center yourself. All right? I absolutely try to center myself when I am doing any shadow work. When I'm sitting there with my journal and I am writing things down, I try to make sure that I'm in a place of security. I know that I am okay. I know that I am not going to be hurt. I know that anything that I write down will not be read. And I have a hard time with that. I have a hard time with writing things down. Even though I have a bunch of journals, I'm very insecure about what I might write down. Why? Because when I was 13, my dad read my diary and I got in really bad trouble because I kissed a boy. Like, that's that one instance. That one little thing is what's caused me not to want to write anything personal down. On top of other times I've written things down and people have used them against me. This is shadow work. Why do I not like writing things down? Oh, that happened. Okay? So if at any moment something doesn't feel good for you, just stop. This is hard, and it is okay to break. My favorite saying I've ever heard was, tacos fall apart all the time and people still love them. So it's okay to be a taco, y'all. All right. Let's see. I feel like I lack knowing myself, I guess. Yeah, I get that. Like, I don't know. I can blend into whatever group, and I've done that so much you don't know who you are. And that's a tough one to figure out, isn't it, Ember? Yeah. Chameleon, I can blend in as well. I wonder why. Why do you blend in? There's the line of questioning. Why do I blend in? What is it about me standing out that was never okay? Right? What is it about you standing out that was never okay? I have, and you've kind of seen it up here, it says, do not shrink yourself for others, because I'm constantly giving my space up. Why? Why do I do that? I still haven't answered that question. Why do I give my space up to others? Why do I feel that other people are more entitled than I am? Right? These questions. Hey, Cindy, what's up? It's okay. It's better late than never. There is no blending for you. And Cindy, that's the thing for me. There was never I will shrink my space, but I will not blend in. Right? You know I'm there. I'm just trying to occupy as little of a space as I humanly can. I'm trying to also, and I'm doing it now, I also try to think about what I say before I say it. All the time. I'm very cautious with my words, you know? So I blend in because if I didn't, you're bullied. If you stood out now, here's the question too. Yes, I know that this happened to me at this point. What do I need to do to make that little one feel okay? Right? Amber, we talked about this. I was bullied for being epileptic, right? All the things I could have been bullied for, I was bullied for being epileptic. So I struggle with thinking that people want to be around me even though I'm sick. So there's things that you have to think about, and you're like, okay, so this happened when I was a kid. I was bullied as a kid. What do I need to do to make that little person healed? How can I make that little person feel good? And for me, it's like being very vocal. I'm as uncomfortable as I am sometimes about it. I'm very vocal about my illness because I'm pushing that boundary and I'm proving to myself that people won't run away. And that's what I'm doing when I do that. You were severely bullied, so you stopped blending entirely. Yes, that happens too. It happens either way. Yep. Being bullied wasn't about you. It was about something that they lacked in themselves. You know, used to be bullied constantly. I'm trying to feel like I deserve to take up space. It is hard. It is very hard. That is absolutely hard. I love the fact that you guys support each other in chat and you guys are you're really caring for one another and you're compassionate. I make the little one safe by standing up for others. Right. But you're not standing up for her. You're not standing up for her. And that's why that's not gone away. You're standing up for others. Nobody stood up for her. She's still waiting for somebody to do that, you know? So, or is it, or it's cause I want someone to stand up for me. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's you want somebody to stand up for you. I try to kill with kindness, to be as caring as I possibly can. I said this the other day, Zarabeth. I was telling somebody, I was like, I care for others because I desperately wanted to be cared for. I put everybody first because I desperately wanted to be somebody's priority. So everybody became a priority, and I never was a priority. I lost the memo. Like, I translated everything wrong. I said, oh, since nobody treated me like a priority, I don't want people to feel that way. So I'm going to treat everybody else like they're my priority. But I forgot to treat myself with priority. I forgot her again. And I'm just learning that lesson. I'm just learning to put myself first and be okay with saying no. It's all a part of our shadow work, is really looking at what hurt and why. Here's a question I told you was going to be uncomfortable. All right. Part of the magician's confidence can be a fake confidence. All right. And trying to take control like the magician, we inadvertently pick up some habits that we shouldn't. Okay. One of those habits is manipulating people. It's a tough question because we don't want to think of ourselves as manipulators, but we all are, especially if we came from abusive homes or had some type of relationship with a narcissist, because we had to manipulate in order to stay safe. We had to manipulate in order to stay safe, in order to be emotionally well. We learn to manipulate. That takes energy that I don't want to use anymore, right? Amber, I can stand up for others, but not myself. Yes. And she's waiting for you to do that, you know? And then you're pulling yourself on the back. You're putting yourself on, exactly, Zarabeth. You put yourself on the back burner, you know? And if we do put ourselves first, yeah, we are thought to be arrogant, especially if you're a woman, right? Especially if you're a woman. If we're women and we are confident, then we're female dogs, right? You know what I'm trying to say there. I try my best not to curse in public forums unless it's an absolute, like, I need that word. Okay. Because I do understand that other people are uncomfortable by them, and I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. So but yeah, if we stand up for ourselves, if we're confident, we're considered conceited, power hungry, right? But if a guy's confident, it's okay. So I see this a lot with women. So many of my female friends are like this. See, I manipulate to blend. Yes, you're right. You manipulate so that way you'll blend in. You had to manipulate what others could see. I wouldn't say manipulate as much as try to control. It's a crappy thing. Yeah, Cindy, I guess the reason why I say manipulate is because when you're controlling things, you are manipulating the factors that are into that situation. Like, if I could keep certain things within the box that doesn't make people angry, but the moment we start throwing things in that's going to make people angry, then whole crap's going to go down, right? So I'm manipulating the situation. And I guess we just call it different. Like, it could be, sorry, I'm like trying to get comfortable over here. I can't control much right now. At least I feel like I can't. Like I have no power. Zarabeth, I've got a question for you. You don't have to answer this one. But when I feel out of control, when I really am feeling out of control, I have dreams where I can't stop my vehicle. Like the brakes in my vehicle are gone bad, or either like I'm paragliding and the rope breaks and I just keep going up and up and up and up and I can't steer, I can't come down. Those dreams are really prevalent when I feel out of control, when I feel like I have no way of handling the situation. I start having a lot of those dreams. Do you have those dreams too? I don't know. You do. Okay, yeah. That's how I also know that things have gotten too much. That it's been too much because I start having these dreams. Also, when I get stressed, I talk in my sleep. My husband tells me I talk in my sleep. Then I realize I probably need to do some meditation, some shadow work, get whatever it is under control. um, or I'm in the back seat of the car driving itself. Yes. Yes. Oh, there's my Gabby. My Gabby. It's my baby Red. She's my daughter. Actually, if you see in chat the name Gabby, that is my baby. Oh my goodness. Hope you're doing well, baby Red. I told you I was going live. I didn't get your call. I'm sorry, kiddo. I'll call you back when we're over. Yep, there's Ember. Oh, all right. So we've talked about this. Why are you manipulating to be seen the way you want to be seen? Right? Here's the other question that's not easy to answer. This manipulation, we kind of talked about it already. This manipulation was learned through what situation? What did you have to do in a certain situation that you learned this behavior? When did you learn that behavior? When exactly did this occur? This first instance. And this first instance, when you manipulated a situation, it obviously came out to be a good thing, or you wouldn't have continued to do it. Right? And that control is a constant energy drain. Constantly having to think 3 moves ahead of my opponent. I'm exhausted by the end of the day. I don't want to play the chess game constantly with people. And that's what I do. That's what I do because I learned I had to manipulate a situation in order to have a safe outcome. Right? So, see. Yeah, Zarabeth, that's one of my 5. And Gabby, I don't know if you remember Cindy or not. Cindy was the female chainsaw drill team from Halloween Horror Nights. That time that we all went and we would go and stalk her and try to find her group. Yeah, that's Cindy. I hear teeth dreams are financial worries. No breaks is not fun. My teeth fall out in my dreams. Yeah, I've heard the same thing. When you dream that your teeth are falling out or your teeth are rotting, it's a sign that you're worried about finances. So, suppose I first started it when I was 5, maybe 6. Yeah. Yeah. So when did you first learn to manipulate? When was that first occurrence? Why is it important for us to understand that first occurrence? Because that is the age that we need to go back and heal. We need to go back and we need to go and look at that person and make them safe, right? We need to integrate them into who we are today and keep them safe, right? Make them feel like this is no longer a thing you have to do. You no longer have to do this, kiddo. I've got you safe. We're good, right? Yeah, manipulation for safety. That's exactly it. Maria, what's up? Better late than never. I say that all the time. It's okay. It's okay. Plus, this is recorded, so you can always go back. Maria, in my link tree, I have this this little worksheet here that we're working through. It is free for everybody to download. You can go get it. It is a Google PDF. It's on my drive, so you'll have to download your own copy. But you have this. The last big question I have in here is, how does this manipulation keep you in the shadow? How is this behavior keeping you from having all of your energy? You're obviously not wanting to come out and tell people, yeah, I manipulate the crap out of you. No, that's ugly, right? Why do I consider that ugly? There's that question again that comes up for shadow work. It's a constant rabbit hole. Why did I say this? Why do I feel this way? What made me want to say that, right? I don't know, man. I just feel we need to like one-on-one and just therapy session. I've been told multiple times that I probably need to go get my social worker's license or go into social work, but I'm afraid of that, to be honest with you. I'm okay with doing it like this and just sharing this is how I would do things. I am very afraid of being around so many broken hearts, y'all. And I know we all have a broken heart, but when somebody comes to you and says, "Fix my broken heart," that's a heavy responsibility. And I don't have faith that I could do that. So, that's the reason why I won't go into social work. I don't think that my heart can take fixing that many broken hearts. So, it's keeping energy because I have to put energy. Yes, you have to put energy into hiding those. You have to put energy into making sure that nobody sees that you've manipulated the situation, right? Um, you are constantly having to think, like I said, you're constantly having to think about who's in the situation, what elements are in the situation. Do I need any extra props to make this go well? Do I need extra people to make this go well? Do I need to take some people out for this to go well? What do I need to do to make everybody happy? And the problem is that when you start doing this as a necessity because of a narcissistic relationship or either an abusive parent, when you start this, then you do it to people that aren't even trying to hurt you. You do it to everyone. You trust no one, right? And as the magician needs no one. Wants your company, but needs you not, right? I want to become the magician. I want to not feel like I have to control everything because I have the confidence to know that it's all going to go the way it should go. So I need to let go of that manipulation that I do, that control of the situation. I need to weed it out of my life and break that habit, right? You're not responsible for oh, Amber, you're not responsible for fixing them. You give them the tools to fix it themselves. Yeah, I think I'm just scared that I wouldn't know what tools to give somebody, you know? Oof, yes, I need to keep my energy. When my mother was dying, I used to help the hospice workers. Yeah. I was thinking of doing it as a job, but I cannot deal with the sadness and broken hearts. And Zarabeth, I would ask why, and this is just me being in the habit of shadow work now, is, you know, instead of allowing somebody to help you grieve, you were helping the hospice workers, making their load light. Why were you willing to take that heavy load? Why were you willing and wanting to take that from them? Instead of allowing them to help you, because that's what they're trained to do, right? Hospice is not only trained to make the end of life for your loved one comfortable, but they're also trained to make sure that the family is okay. So why were you wanting to take that load from them? Was it, something that you do often? And why do you do that often? Why do you take the loads of other people? I ask this because I do the same thing. Um, Somebody comes over to fix our plumbing or whatever. I'm immediately like, do you need this? Do you need this? What do you need? Can I help you do anything? I'm not trained to do any plumbing work. Because she was my responsibility. Exactly. But was she your responsibility? And why wouldn't you be okay with giving that responsibility over to somebody else if that was something you had to do, you know? So, when I stop controlling things, go up in flames. All right. That's a valid thing, Cindy. When you stop controlling things, things go up in flames. I get this. Then the guilt of my decision sets in, and energy gets put into damage control as well. So it is this constant, I'm trying to protect myself. I control things so things don't hit the fan because I don't trust, from the many experiences I've had before, I don't trust that you can handle this. Okay. What are you going to do with that? Are you going to live this way for the rest of your life? Or are you going to communicate that and say, this is what I need? Because I have found a lot of times because I do this. I control the crap out of the situation because I'm always afraid that if it goes up in flames, then it's somehow my fault. Even if I didn't make the decisions, it's going to be my fault because of the life experiences I've had that got reinforced over and over and over again. You grow up in an abusive household, and not abusive household. My mom was not abusive. I don't want anybody to think that. But my dad was not a nice man. And growing up, if there was a bad day and I was close, I would get yelled at for whatever, right? And so learning growing up, understanding that if I didn't control the situation, then stuff hits the fan, it's still going to be my fault. So I might as well just let it be my fault with me making the decisions. Maybe I can make better decisions and it won't end up in flames, right? So I'm constantly using that energy and putting energy into making everything okay without communicating what I actually needed. So I've taken the trust away from people, and I'm not communicating my needs because no one's going to listen anyways. That's what you feel like, right? Um, Being chronically ill and needing more help, I have had to go through that, and that is a painful thing to say, "I can't make this decision right now. You have to." I'm giving that over to somebody else, and if crap hits the fan, I'm gonna feel guilty. I shouldn't, and I work through that. If things didn't go right, you know, Um, for instance, if my husband and I go out to dinner, right? And I tell him, pick a restaurant. We had crappy service or whatever at the restaurant, right? I immediately go, I'm sorry. And he's like, what are you sorry for? You didn't choose the restaurant. I did. Again, yeah, why am I sorry for that? I didn't choose the restaurant. I didn't choose the waiter. Nothing of that was in my control. But because of this need to control the situation and be able to make sure that everything goes without a hitch, we put all this on us. And I work through that. That is my shadow work. That is something I've got to deal with, you know? Yeah, why do we always feel accountable for everything? Because, Zarabeth, if you weren't accountable for everything, it was still going to be your fault. No matter what, it was still going to be your fault. That is how you felt. At some point in time, this was planted in your head that every bad situation was your fault. So you became accountable for it all. So that way, if the situation went bad, then you knew next time how to fix it. And it never is fixed. It's never fixed. Crap happens no matter how good of a plan you got. Something's going to go wrong. And so you're constantly beating yourself up. I screwed up. No, you didn't. There's no way you can know all the parameters of a situation. And even if you did, you're using what you know. And you don't know everything. And it's okay that you don't know everything. So, oh my goodness, I always apologize. Yes! I'm always saying I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And that's part of this. That's part of that, don't shrink yourself for others. Me saying I'm sorry is shrinking myself, diminishing the decisions that I made, or taking responsibility for decisions I didn't make, right? Trying to take away their guilt. You try to take somebody else's guilt, try to smooth over their feelings. It's manipulation. We all do it, especially if you come from an abusive household or a narcissistic relationship. But if I just buttered the bread better, yes. If I just buttered the bread better, if I make them happy, what can I do to make you happy? I say that all the time, and I know it's got to be irritating. What can I do to make you happy? You are not responsible, and my husband says this to me all the time, you are not responsible for making other people happy. You are responsible for making yourself happy. So if it's enough daggone butter on the bread for you, that's all that counts. If they wanted it different, they should have got up and buttered the bread themselves. If they get mad, then you're going to feel bad. You're going to think it's all your fault. How do we stop that? We can identify this all day long, right? We can identify exactly what triggered us. We know the hardest part of shadow work is going and saying, okay, I recognize this happened. But if it happened in another situation, if I let it go in a different way, would the same outcome happen? Would the same outcome have happened? Was something going to go wrong? Probably, especially if you grew up in an abusive, had an abusive parent. It doesn't matter what you do. It's always going to be wrong. They're not happy with themselves. And there is what we have to tell ourselves in order to get through the shadow work. A person's reaction to something you do is not about you. A person's reaction, even if you are the one doing something, their reaction is not about you. Their reaction is about how they feel about that. Their reaction is all about them, their insecurities, their perceptions. And their insecurities and their perceptions are not yours. But when you apologize, you take their insecurities too. And as a witch, do you know what that means? Every person I've apologized to, I've taken what wasn't mine. I've taken energy that was not mine to take. I have burdened myself with things that were not my burdens to own. Time to release that crap, isn't it? Let's see. I breathed wrong. Yes. I know that one. Crying. I cried and it made them mad. Right? It was all wrong. That is why it was never to be fixed. Yep. It will never be fixed because it's always going to be wrong. In a hot moment, though, you are done being nice. You have finally gotten sick of keeping your head down and apologizing for taking up space and having your feelings go unheard. Yes. And you know what's the weird thing about that? If you are in a parental issue or like a relationship with a person that is constantly feeding off that. The moment that you stick your ground, the moment you're like, no, back off, F off. No, this ain't happening, right? I'm done being your doormat. Then all of a sudden their demeanor changes and they're happy with you because they got a big reaction out of you. So it's true. Oh, yep. And see, it's the thing though, is like we feel like we can't express things. So even if a person isn't a narcissist, even if the person isn't abusive, we're not going to express to them our feelings until we blow up. And I was lucky enough to recognize that in myself pretty early. After my first marriage, I realized that I wouldn't talk. And I was like, that ain't happening anymore. No. You're going to hear me. You're going to hear what I have to say. I might not want to tell you because it hurts to tell you and it hurts to hurt your feelings. But I've got to tell you. I've got to tell you so that way we don't end up in a bad place. And my husband agreed with that. We have a very interesting relationship because of the fact that we tell each other exactly what's on our minds. Yes, it might not be nice for the other one to hear, but it is what is going through our head. And we insist on talking about it. Right? Do we have the world's perfect relationship? No. Is it pretty perfect for me? Yeah. Why? Because I can talk. And that was something that I had to do for myself. I had to be able to express exactly at that moment, because when I don't, like Zarabeth and Cindy, like you're talking about, when you pull that in and it's constant, then I would just unleash hell. I would absolutely unleash hell. And I would say the most hateful things anybody has ever said, because in that moment, I want you to burn with me. I am burning inside because I'm becoming something I hate. I hate people who go out and try to hurt others just for simple existing, right? And in that moment, you make me feel that. You make me feel that hatred of your existence. And I don't want to do that. So then I get even angrier. And I say things that I shouldn't say. It all stems from the fact that I don't trust. I don't trust. So my shadow work is, how do I trust? How do I get there, right? A lot of my shadow work is learning to communicate these grievances without emotion. Yeah. Suppression sucks. I would talk to my husband, but I wouldn't talk to anybody else when I'd get angry, and it came out in seizures. I had quite a few of them one year because my body was like, all right, we can't bottle this anymore. So we're just going to shut off for a while. And for like 3 days, I convulsed nonstop. I hope one day to be able to have that kind of open, raw honesty with a partner. It's not, I would tell you, it's not always like sunshine and roses when you don't want to hear something, There's been times where I've made something and I was really proud of it, and he's like, that's gross. Like, okay, all right. I won't make that for you again, right? But I then know what he wants, right? I'm open with that. There's times where he who's, gone to the grocery store, it's always food, gone to the grocery store, and he's gotten all kinds of stuff and he's very proud of himself. And I look at him like, and you brought nothing for dinner. Like, there's nothing I can make for dinner, right? And those aren't nice conversations to have, but they are real conversations that need to be had. If I was in my previous relationship, I wouldn't have even had him go to the grocery store. I would have taken that responsibility altogether because I wouldn't have been able to express myself, So I am very thankful that I do have this type of relationship. I think that of that scene on Family Guy where Lois is asked how she puts up with Peter's crap, and then it zooms in on a Tor singing in her brain, suppressing things. Yes, I understand that. I may need a card reading soon. Okay, not a problem, Cindy. You know how to get a hold of me. The tumor singing. Okay, I was like, Tor singing. I don't watch Family Guy, so I think I've watched maybe 1, maybe 2 episodes, maybe. Not that I don't like it or that kind of humor. I mean, we watch Rick and Morty. I've just never sat down and watched it. So, so this is what we're going to be doing for the next couple of weeks. Again, in my link tree, in the description, there is this worksheet. The last thing that's on this worksheet is in this little space right here. In the space, I need to correct it because it says in the space to the below. Y'all, I shouldn't be doing these when I have brain fog. Anyways, either draw yourself as the magician or creatively draw words/symbols that represent you as the magician. So this is your own drawing. You are going to draw yourself as your ideal self, as the person that has confidence and charisma and knows that everything will be what it needs to be, and you control nothing. Control nothing. I have confidence that it's going to be what it's going to be, and I control nothing, right? What does that person look like to you? Who is that person? Now, if you don't draw, because I can't draw, save my life, I couldn't. I would put like little symbols in there. I'd put little words and make them all artistic in there, but I can't draw. I might even like cut out some magazines and put stuff in there, all right? Ultimately, you can take these and put them in a shadow work journal that you want. You can even just get a folder and place them in the folder. So that way, this is your ongoing work. Your ongoing work. And by keeping stuff like this, then you can return to it at the end and go, that's where I started. That's where I started. And I healed her. I healed them. They're good. Notice I changed the pronouns. I'm trying to get used to do that. I'm trying not to put gender on things. I'm just saying them or they. Trying. Learning. So, in the space to the below. Yeah, in the space to the below. I'm like, English teacher over here did not proofread her stuff. I love it to the below. As above, to the below. As above, to the below. Done. I'm just done. Oh, I want to draw a magician now. Yes. But the magician has to look like you, Sen. How do you see yourself as a magician? All right, my lovelies. It has been fun. Be happy. That's the biggest one. I say this all the time. Be happy and be safe. Let me make sure you understand what I mean by this. Be happy means do whatever that brings your heart joy. And be safe means as long as it doesn't hurt you. Okay? Do what brings you joy as long as it doesn't hurt you and others. So be happy. Be safe. Know that I love you. If y'all ever need to get a hold of me, my credentials are always in the description. You can go down there and you can email me. You can go to my link tree and get through me through TikTok, Facebook, whatever. All right? So, bye, my lovelies. I'll see you for next Tarot Tuesday. And then the next card that we will be doing for our shadow work, the next card would be, sorry, I should have this like completely ready to go, but I don't because, it's me. We should have, by the way, started with the Fool, and I decided not to because we already know that we're on a journey. The next one is the High Priestess. So next Shadow Work Wednesday, we will be going over what kind of shadow work does the High Priestess bring us. All right. All right. Should we pull Oracle to see how shadow work will go this week? We can. I can pull Oracle. Let me find my Oracle cards real quick. I'm gonna tear down my table over here. Let's see. So, how will shadow work affect you this week? Let's see. How will shadow work affect you this week? And I will mention this also before we completely leave. Anytime you do a shadow work session, it is super helpful to do a ritual bath. A ritual bath can be any herbs, spices, whatever you want, bubbles, whatever you want in there. I call it a ritual bath because it's literally, I get in the tub, I imagine all the negativity washing off of me, all the things that I no longer serve me. I imagine them just seeping out of my body and into the water, right? And I inhale all the fresh air and the steam and make it sure that it's cleansing me and making me feel good. And then I imagine all the nasty filth stuff that doesn't serve me is going down the drain. That's simply a ritual bath. And I do that after shadow work a lot. Okay. I find it helpful. You may not. You may find walking in the rain is helpful. Ooh, your oracle is shield. You're going to have a tough time with this week. There's going to be a lot of things that you're going to deny to yourself. You're going to say, I don't do that. That's not why I do this. You're going to want to get very defensive about your shadow work. Don't. Don't get defensive. You behave this way because you needed to behave this way. You were taught to behave this way. And the fact that you are trying to undo that shows your strength, shows your might. Okay? So don't feel defensive when things come up that don't feel good to you. That's all this is. It's supposed to not feel good. We have growing pains for a reason. We're growing. Okay? Don't shield it. Let it open. Got it? All right. All right, my lovelies. Be happy. Be safe. And I love you.